This should be very, very interesting. Mr. Cage's thought of the day. We rather not be in a relationship that challenges us to love another person unconditionally. It's going to be a two-part. I will possibly read a thought to you, maybe on part two. I'm still debating in my mind whether I want to give it to you all. But nonetheless, if I don't give you the thought, we still going to get some substance out of this conversation itself. As always, it is our hope that as you subscribe, like, and share to the page and you get these different thoughts, that these thoughts will find a place in your space. Your space is your mind and your heart. Your mind is your perception, your heart associated with your motives. Let's go into this conversation. We'll try to make it as condensed. I can't make it short, but I can't make it long either. When I take a look back, and as I share the thought, I want you to go back in a catalog of your life and look back at your past relationships, especially if you find yourself single at this point in your life. Anytime in this situation, we had to do a self-assessment. We got to do a self-evaluation. We can't look at the other party that was involved in the relationship. We have to look in the mirror of self. Looking in the mirror of self, as I gaze back on my relationships, I had numerous amount of relationships in different periods of time, in different increments of time. Maybe I would be in a romantic relationship for 5 to 6 months. Then when that relationship ended, maybe it was a 3, 4 to 5 month hiatus, intermission of me being quote unquote single. And I would transition back into another romantic relationship. Not saying it didn't start off as a friendship, more than likely it did. And then it manifested organically into a romantic relationship. Some of these relationships that we find ourselves in, that I found myself in, ended because I was challenged to love that person unconditionally with no strings attached. I was challenged to love a person and not initially expect something out of return. Give it with no strings attached. For me, that was WAS, past tense. That was a difficult piece because my life experience as an only child was built on the world revolved around me. I'm not saying that my parents solely brought me up like this, but my experience or the interpretation of my experience was you do good and you get something in return. Marcus, you get straight A's, we get you a bike. You get straight A's, we get you some new shoes. You get straight A's, there was always a reward attached to when I did something. Now, growing up in high school, not high school, I apologize, being in junior high, I was a straight A student with little to no effort because my mom was already exposing me to what was being taught at home. All I was doing when I was coming to school was doing what I was already doing at home, which made it easy. I overlooked the process. And some people, teachers and my peers, overlooked the process as well because people look at the end game or the reward. That subconsciously taught me to do, then get. So then when I started getting into these relationships, 7th grade, 8th grade, freshman in high school, from a romantic aspect, I would always look for something in return. Well, let's not say always, but I had the consistency of looking for something in return. So if I did something, my mindset was from a selfish, only child syndrome mentality, I'm gonna get something in return. And as my relationship transitioned into adulthood, I found out that that's a very problematic mentality to have. This is part one of we rather not be in relationships that challenge us to love unconditionally. That's why some of us are single. That's why some of us have dysfunctional and unhealthy relationships. This is one component, one factor that influences that. Part two, coming right after this.